Good afternoon. My name is Ania Skrzypek. I'm Director for Research and Training at the Foundation for European Progressive Studies. And I feel absolutely humbled to be the ceremony mistress of this graduation moment of the Open Progressive University Progressive Ukraine Program Edition #1. We have come here today to celebrate achievements of 25 incredible students, one could say fighters, who have taken with us a fascinating journey. We started in this Vox box 13 months ago with a hope that this initiative, this pioneering initiative, will bring academic excellence, political relevance, but first and foremost, will be the embodiment of solidarity. That when we say we are together and we stand together, we also act together and we act in solidarity, being there for one another in this time of horror and hardship. I think that what is really impressive, and this is why I said that we came here to celebrate, is that despite the difficult circumstances, often in very insecure environment, 25 students graduate today from a program that has taken 13 months of very tough studies, challenging activities, challenging tasks. And we believe that their participation in the Open Progressive University is an expression not only of commitment and courage, but also the hope that together we can build a more peaceful world, difficult to say today, more sustainable one, that we belong together and jointly we can shape the future of the European Union and Ukraine within that. Within the program, we have seen 4 models. We looked at the questions of the EU, Ukraine and war. It was a very emotional and difficult conversation. We looked at the ways in which Ukraine should be reconstructed to become a democratic, peaceful, sovereign country that empowers its citizens. We looked at the promise of the European Union when it comes to enlargement, enlargement towards different countries, the enlargement that has not happened yet in this youth generation and how we could turn the tides. And then we looked on how Ukraine could be prepared for the EU membership, whereby, again, the participation of students, their views, their ideas on how to improve the fate of their fellow citizens, the country, and how to pave the European path was incredibly instructive. Each of those 4 models was composed of at least 25 segments, audiovisual materials, reading, workshops, and online sessions. And they've seen some of the important and pioneering debates. We discussed, for example, with Richard Corbett, what would accession of Ukraine mean for the institutional balance inside of the European Union, which I think gave a clarity that no other university has dared thus far. We looked with Marek Belka at the cost of reconstructions, something again that people are often too hesitant to put into numbers and to say what the commitment should translate in the real terms. We've engaged with a great number of the members of the European Parliament, and because we are sitting in the House of Democracy, allow me to honor them very shortly. Marina Kaljurand, Thijs Ruiten, Andreas Schiede, Kathleen van Bremt, Irene Tinali, Yanis Maniatis, Nacho Sanchez-Amor, Lina Galvez, Joanna Schering-Wierkus, Mark Anger, Tonino Picula. They have all been part of this impressive journey, and I think an incredible expression of how important it has been that this initiative has been done in a partnership with the S&D Group here in the European Parliament. The university has not only been about sharing the knowledge, about building a community, building a sense of togetherness, but it also has been about practical assignments we've prepared, looking at how to organize possibly elections, how to prepare in these difficult times the opinion polls, something that might sound even surreal, but something that is essential in the democratic process. But we've also had assignments that have been done by those 25 students who graduate today, and I think that the materials that they have produced when it comes to the disinformation and how the Russian propaganda has been influencing the world, how the clash of 2 models is something that we all have responsibility to stand tall during those times, has been particularly instructive. I think when I'm thinking about those pre-graduation moments and the engagement of all the students, I think that what struck me, especially from what we called the pre-graduation illumination session from last week with the Secretary General of the S&D Group and the Secretary General of the party, Fabrizia Panzetti and Giacomo Filibeck, is the incredible sense of gratitude that we have towards the students, that in the times that are so uncertain, so difficult, and often challenging, in the times when many of them had no electricity, couldn't sleep during the night, have been fearing for their beloved, they still continued pursuing the educational path that we offered and continued being with us in the spirit of togetherness. I think that's absolutely unique, and speaking about that from the House of the European Parliament in very different conditions makes me feel incredibly, incredibly humbled. But I think that what is an incredible thing that we are graduating today with is the sense of hope, but also sense of responsibility. And with that, I'm going to be turning to the person who is the best suited to inaugurate this graduation ceremony, a person who has been leading us by example, unwavered internationalist, feminist, a politician who never shows any kind of a fear and has always wholeheartedly supported Open Progressive University, Progressive Ukraine program, Irache Garcia Perez, leader of the S&D Group. Thank you so much for all the cooperation, for all the work, for being with us, and for being so hopeful by entrusting us with this initiative. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Really, it's very important for me to be part today of this moment. Dear students of the Progressive Ukraine program, dear friends, congratulations on your graduation. Today, we celebrate much more than the completion of an academic course. We celebrate courage. We celebrate resilience. We celebrate a generation that choose to study, to think, to debate, and to organize while sirens were sounding, while missiles were falling, and while electricity, water, heating, and internet were being cut in the middle of the winter. You have earned this graduation in circumstances that no student should ever have to endure. Some of you follow this program from sitting under attack, learning between power cuts, adapting your timetables to blackouts, checking your phones not only for messages from professors, but for alerts or warning of income drones. Others did it from exile in new countries, new languages, and new realities, carrying the invisible weight of displacement while trying to build a new life. What you have achieved is not normal. It is extraordinary. When I was last time in Kyiv, I have traveled there twice since the beginning of Russia's brutal war. I saw in my own eyes that what perseverance means. I met young people who told me, we are tired, but we are not broken. Looking at you today, I see the same spirit. This program, launched together with FEPS and the Foundation Max van der Stoel, was designed to inspire and empower a new generation of progressive Ukrainians. But I must confess something. You have inspired us even more, because you are proving that the future of Ukraine will not be written by oligarchs and autocrats serving the Kremlin's dictatorship. It will be written by Democrats. It will be written by you. For too long, Ukraine suffered under corrupt elites who confuse public office with profit, with private profit. For too long, Moscow tried to keep your country in a gray zone, not fully sovereign, not fully European, and not fully free. That time is ending. You are the generation called to close the chapter forever. You are the generation that will turn reconstruction into transformation. The generation that will ensure that rebuilding schools, hospitals, and energy system also means rebuilding institutions, transparent, accountable, and democratic institutions. Because this war never only about territory. It is about values. It is about whether borders can be changed by force. It is about whether democracy can be crushed by fear. And it is about whether Europe stands firm or looks away. As Social Democrats, we will not look away. We will continue to fight for stronger sanctions against Putin's regime. We will push for the adoption of the next sanction package, and we will not accept that the friends of the Kremlin inside the European Union, like Viktor Orban, undermine our unity and weaken our response. We will keep demanding that the 90 billion support for Ukraine is delivered without delay. And we will continue to insist that the more than 200 billion in frozen assets in the European Union must be used for Ukraine reconstruction and defense. This is not a revenge, it's a justice. And Putin must pay for his crimes. At the same time, we will stand by you in the demanding process of reforms that EU accession requires. Fighting corruption, strengthening the rule of law, guaranteeing media freedom, protecting minorities, reforming the judiciary. There are not boxes to tick for Brussels. They are foundation of the Ukraine you deserve. A free Ukraine, a prosperous Ukraine, a peaceful Ukraine, a European Ukraine. By graduating today, you are sending a powerful message. Bombs cannot silence ideas. Blackouts cannot switch off hope. You are not the generation of war. You are the generation of a new beginning. One day, when the blue and yellow flag of Ukraine flies in peace alongside the blue and yellow flag of the European Union, history will remember that even in the darkest hours, young Ukrainians were preparing for democracy, standing public policy, debating enlargement, and designing progressive approach to reconstructions. That is how nations with their future. From the Maidan to this virtual classroom, from the front line to your homes, Ukraine has shown that dignity is stronger than fear. And you, dear graduates, are the living proof. Be bold in your convictions. Be demanding in your ethics. Be uncompromising in your defense of democracy. Build alliance, lead, because Europe needs you. Ukraine needs you. And the future you will build is not only your national future, it is our shared European future. Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Thank you very much, Irace, and thank you also for, as I said, the unwavered leadership, always standing in solidarity, always thinking about our graduates today, being supportive together with your team for the endeavor that indeed has taken so much courage from them, but also so much solidarity from all the sides involved. I think that the consistency and hope that you've expressed is something we need to hold on. And I absolutely, absolutely can imagine these two blue flags waving together. So when there are things that stay for you for life, I think that's definitely, not being a graduate, I definitely take forward as something to very much look forward and work together on. Thank you so much, Irace. And if I may, now I've mentioned so many different aspects of the common journey and the milestones we've taken together. But what was very important also in this project, and I mentioned the community building, was to create indeed the relations in between those based in the European Union and those being in Ukraine. We have students both from different diasporas, but we have students also from Ukraine. And when the moment came, there was the time when we joined the PES, the S&D Group, and the students were the pioneers of an important discussion during the first annual conference in Kiev in November. This makes a bridge to the next speaker, who is the Vice President of Foundation for European Progressive Studies, who has been there also to mentor students to help gear up the open discussion about indeed what you've mentioned. How do we stand for our country and stand for Europe at the same time? How do we fight autocrats? How do we stand for democracy? How do we make sure that in this clash of models we can be the ones who persevere? Uwe Optenhögel, you've been in Kiev, you've met the students personally. So in between the link in Brussels studio and the studio elsewhere, the link in between EU and the Ukraine on its path, Uwe, it's a great pleasure to give you the floor.
Thank you, Anja, for the kind introduction. And as a Vice President of FEPS, I'm really honored to take part in the celebration. And I want to congratulate our Ukrainian graduates from the Open Progressive University. But I also want to thank our partners, the S&D Group and the Dutch Foundation Max van der Stoel, for an excellent cooperation in this endeavor. Actually, as Anja mentioned, we may have met, I may have met some of you, or we may have met at the occasion of the first Progressive Summit in Kiev in the beginning of November, which stood under the motto towards EU membership and a fair recovery. I think our Progressive program is an excellent example of how progressives in the EU are committed to strengthen the links and the support with Ukraine, to Ukraine and its youth. Only a few days ago, we have commemorated the 4th year of the war Putin's Russia has started against the Ukrainian people. Our support in all fields remains unbroken. This is partly not so easy in Europe because I think many Europeans, especially Western Europeans, who have not lived through a period of reconstruction and change of system after 1990 can understand. I think it's really in our own societies a permanent fight to keep people linked to the Ukrainian issue and to keep mobilization up to support your country. We admire, as Irache said it, your courage and your resilience, even though I can imagine that you start to get tired because you're simply tired of what you have gone through. When you hear this from Westerners, the ones who are living in diaspora know what I'm talking about. I think the living conditions in Ukraine and in our still peaceful countries in EU, Europe cannot be compared. I think it becomes so clear that you defend your country against an imperialist aggressor. But what you do at the same time, you're not only defending the sovereignty of your country, but you also defend the possibility to organize your life, the life of your family and relatives in freedom and to shape your own future. Our common aims are just peace based on international law, guaranteed security, and a socially fair reconstruction of the country. I would like to underline the aspect of socially fair because I think the first transition you have gone through was not socially fair, and it created imbalances and inequalities so that you could get the impression that the transition was for the few and not for the many. and as a socialist and social democrat, the second reconstruction that might happen after the end of the war should be for the many, not for the few. Our program of Open Progressive University, I think, is an important contribution to the achievement of our common goal. The graduation, your graduation, is a strong signal for hope and solidarity, and the laureates will hopefully, you will hopefully continue to work for a future democratic, fair, and innovative Ukraine. With today, you will turn into alumni of the Open Progressive University, and I hope someday in the future, when a strong social democratic movement will co-shape the destiny of your country, you can look proudly back on what you did over the last 12 months, you being the first class that graduated from Open Progressive University. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uwe. Thank you indeed. I think we all agree, listening to Irace and to Uwe, that the message that we are passing is that it's an incredible story of the people who have already started making history and hopefully will make history of the country in the nearer future. Now, of course, the Open Progressive University, I've already mentioned the number of segments, over 100 building blocks in 4 categories, thematic categories, lots of practical classes. I have to also say very important interactions between the Ukrainian expert scholars and the European ones. I think particularly important when we were discussing the reconstruction, housing issue, gender equality, and many other dimensions. But there was also a very practical side to that. And with that, I'd like to follow Uwe in thanking also the foundation that has been our unwavered partner since the beginning, Max van der Stoel Stichting, and personally Kido Koning, who's the director of FMS, who sits just next to me and has met you a number of times online, helping you to gain new skills, facilitating different difficult debates. Kido, the floor is yours. Many, many thanks.
Yeah, well, I'm honored to take the floor here as the third of 3 amazing speakers. I'd like to thank Irace and Uwe for saying a lot of the things I was thinking about as well. But I have some things to add, not in the least also thanking you, Anja. And I wish the camera could turn around, because I'd also like to thank Elena, Galina, and Katerina, and Zoltan, because without them, this would have not happened. So thank all of you for making it happen. And I'm here also taking some of the glory, but luckily I also took some responsibility, so I feel that it's only right. As Foundation Max van der Stoel, we've been a proud partner since day 1 of this initiative. And it's nice that in the first day that you were also meeting each other online, I was present, and now I'm here present all the way at the end. You've gone through a little bit of a journey. And in my little contribution here, I also want to illustrate that the journey is maybe much bigger than you imagine, because you're embodying some of my life choices, some of my priorities. In 2012, the Foundation Max van der Stoel started working with a small new organization called SD Platforma. And without them, we wouldn't be sitting here today in this session either. And I started being a trainer for them and meeting some of the founders and a lot of the participants many times. So in 2022, when the full-scale war happened, I wasn't just thinking about Ukraine as a faraway country with some project partner. I was thinking of you as friends. I was a consultant back then, and that's when I decided I need to stop being a consultant and I need to start worrying more about what's happening in the world. So I then applied to become the director of the Foundation Max van der Stoel, and I became that. So this is partly one of the things that I decided my life should be about. And then meeting you, embodying what I've been choosing to do, is really an honor. And you started with saying, I'm humbled. I'm also humbled to see that even in hard circumstances, people are also making it their business to fight for a progressive Ukraine under difficult circumstances. Now, since 2012, I think we can all agree that we came a long way and a lot has happened. In 2022, Foundation Max van der Stoel couldn't do much more than sending some money and goods. But in 2024, we already went on a fact-finding mission to also seek out possibilities to work for progressive partners and to find family members for our political family here in Europe. And we found a lot of you. So in 2025, we were there, and Uwe mentioned it, and Anja as well, at the first Progressive Summit between European Union and Ukraine. And it's only one building block to what I think is going to be a much more successful collaboration. And for that, you're going to need people who know about European politics, who are there to pick up the work that is actually going to be done to become a member and to make that a successful membership. And that's who you are, and that's who you are going to be. So here I'm thinking about you as students. And I've seen you, I think, about 5 times. Some of you in real life, a lot of you online, some familiar faces from before, and I really admire your commitment. But also the fact that you are never too lazy to also engage and to ask questions. I saw a lot of your creativity coming to the European politics with creative and new angles, which is also going to be a great boon to us as a political society. And of course, as I said, you chose to spend your time learning about European politics and about progressive politics. And let's be fair, not everybody does that, and that's what we need. So I like to think of this not just as a graduation, but also as an initiation. And the difference is that a graduation is you get a diploma, but an initiation is that you become part of something. So you're going to be part of our political family, of a family that is trying to strive for political ideals, of a social democratic future that we can build together in your country, but also in our continent, peacefully and politically, democratically, in a successful way. So I'm not just sadly not being able to shake your hands, congratulating you on a graduation, I'm also welcoming you as part of a political family. And I will promise, but I hope from your end you will promise me back that we will see each other again in real life. And I will shake your hand to become a graduate of the political Open Progressive University. But also, I would like to hug you, to welcome you into the family, and I would like to high-five you on the victory of Ukraine. Until then, thanks very much for your participation.
Thank you very much, Guido. That's a very inspiring sort of a bridge of what is the world of alumni having for our 25 graduates of today. Indeed, I think it has been mentioned, we have been able to conduct this incredible program because of the very generous support of the group of Socialists and Democrats in partnership with you as FMS and with you directly, but also in a very close collaboration with S&D Platform, with whom we've had fantastic exchanges. Recently also last week with many of you coming to join us for a conversation, what's next, what future holds for us, and what after we graduate. This was this sort of how do we build this new world that we were discussing. And of course, we also owe very big thanks, wholehearted thanks to Bogdan Ferenc, who has been following all the developments at the Open Progressive University, Progressive Ukraine program, and has been there being our inspiration and an important bridge in between those who couldn't travel to Brussels and to the other meetings, but always speaking very highly of everyone involved and the initiative behind. Now, I've always been saying that a good educational program is a participatory program. You've mentioned some of the events we've had during the trainings and interactive session. But of course, any good graduation also has to be a participatory event. And we are absolutely honored to now give the floor to 2 of the graduates. We only have space for 2 of the graduates today, but we hope that the conversation and the relations between us will continue. So if I can start from Olya, the floor is yours. It's great to see you again. And thank you so much for taking on yourself to represent some of the views that your classmates, if I can say, have been having for this 13 months of incredible togetherness and adventure. The floor is yours.
Good evening. Dear organizers, distinguished speakers, dear colleagues and friends, today is a very special moment for all of us. This program was not only an educational experience, it was a unique opportunity to learn, to grow, and to connect around a shared vision of Ukraine's European future. I would like to sincerely thank the Foundation for European Progressive Studies, the S&D Group, and in the European Parliament and Foundation Max van der Stoel, and all the partners of the Open Progressive University for making this initiative possible. At such a crucial, devastating, and unjust war time for Ukraine, investing in education and young professionals is an investment in our country's long-term transformation. This program gave us much more than theoretical knowledge. Learning directly from members of the European Parliament, policymakers, and international experts how allowed us to better understand how European institutions work in practice and how political decisions are shaped. The openness and depth of the discussions truly strengthened our experience, strategic thinking, and confidence as young professionals. Talking about my personal experience as someone who is working in a field of anti-corruption and European integration, I already see how knowledges and perspectives gained here can be applied in practice. Strengthening institutions, aligning with European standards, and building transparent governance are not abstract goals for me. They are part of my daily professional work. And this program has made that work more informed and more strategic. I also had an honor to participate in Progressive Summit in Kiev, and I'm sincerely grateful for this great opportunity. It was really inspiring for me personally to meet and speak to people who are shaping the future of European Union, and the main point to people who clearly see Ukraine as a future equal member of the EU. And this belief, it really matters, and it helps us to fight, to rebuild, and to contribute to our shared future. I strongly believe that through educating and empowering young leaders, we are building the foundation for a successful future of Ukraine. Reconstruction, it's not only about rebuilding cities, facilities, and so on. It's about strengthening institutions, governance, and democratic standards. And programs like this help to prepare those progressive, democratic leaders who will build this future and lead us to the progress. Thank you for your contribution and consistent support for Ukraine. Your solidarity is deeply felt, and it strengthens our determination to continue reforms and move forward on our European path. And I truly believe that this graduation, it marks not an ending, but the beginning of continued long-term cooperation. I will be very happy to stay engaged in future initiatives and projects and to keep building progressive and democratic European future together. Thank you a lot again.
Thank you very much, Olia, and we hope very much that with this commitment we can indeed go together forward. Once again, congratulations. Thank you for all the time and all the efforts and all the assignment and creativity and all the work you've put in today's graduation. That's a vast amount of effort, but also an incredible commitment that we take as an obligation and with the sense of responsibility. The second speaker of tonight is going to be Ivan. He's going to be connecting with us just now. Ivan, the floor is yours. We've heard about what this initiative and what the experience meant for Olia and what she hopes that the future path entails for you. What about you, Ivan?
Thank you. In a minute I will say what it means to me personally. But first of all, I would like to greet and to address President Garcia Perez and Vice President Optenhögel and Director Koenig, and to all colleagues I would even say classmates and friends. And it's indeed an honor for me to speak to you today during our graduation. And I would even say it's a moment of shared responsibility because the Open Progressive University Ukraine program was more than a series of lectures, as it was already said several times, but it was a space for strategic thinking and a space for dialogue, and hopefully in the future the shared responsibility for after the dialogue. We examined the war of Russia against Ukraine. We analyzed EU enlargement. We discussed reconstruction. And today I've heard about these two, let's say, stages or parts of reconstruction. We reflected on social democratic values in times of geopolitical rapture. And we see the news from all over the world today, and we understand that this rapture becomes bigger and bigger. And of course, we reflected on cohesion and the single market, which is also very important. And this course was intellectually demanding from all of us, and it was politically relevant, which makes it not only interesting, but also very important that the results will be implemented in the future. And it was deeply timely. What made this experience unique was, of course, the speakers. We listened to prominent policymakers, to people who have shaped and who still are, continue to shape EU decisions. And their insights were practical, insightful, and strategic. It was very, very valuable for us as participants and for me personally. And as someone who teaches modern history of Ukraine and European integration and memory politics, I constantly explain to my students how European institutions evolve through crisis. And in this program, we observed this transformation directly. We saw how the Russian war of aggression has redefined security policy, enlargement dynamics, and of course, social priorities within the European Union. And this was invaluable. The Open Progressive University Ukraine strengthened our knowledge, and it strengthened network. And there is always a debate inside my head: what is more important, knowledge or networking? Of course, both of them in this combination are vital. And hopefully it strengthened trust on both of sides of our screens as participants and organizers and lecturers. And I would like to express my special gratitude to Elena Gil. Your professionalism and dedication structured this entire journey. And of course to Galina Krasovska for your coordination and continuous support. And of course, thank you, Anya. Thank you to everyone who worked behind the scenes. I can imagine that it takes the effort, the effort of more people. And thank you to all participants for the seriousness of our discussions. Thank you to FEPS, of course, and to the S&D Group, and to everyone who invested time and energy in this initiative. Ukraine's European future is not an abstract. It is being built step by step, together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ivan. I think we are deeply touched by everything you've just said. And I think I just had a reflection that while this is your graduation ceremony, we also graduate thanks to you from an incredibly formative experience. We've learned incredibly a lot from you. And we have to make sure that this experience also continues in a constructive way with everything that you've given time and effort to teach us. And indeed, Ivan, you made a very important point, because what you've seen in the 100 building blocks as we've established has probably had each of them 6 different versions before it was realized. It's from organizations to the organizations. It's between people, but it's from person to person. And with that, I indeed would like to extend an incredible, wholehearted gratitude to Elena Hill, FEPS Training and Project Coordinator, who has spent every Thursday of her life of last year with you, who has been tirelessly working and being very creative, trying to make sure that we never compromise on the goals we've had for the program. We've always accelerate, we always keep on improving. We take the most from the different evaluation sessions we had after every model, and that we also remain committed to you on the same way you have been to us. Elena, thank you so much. Without Zoltan Simon, we would have never been able to be as diligent as we have been, so agile when it comes to political development and the directions we should be taking, corrective, but also well connected. And when we have been discussing about making here history, also about what kind of history should be made and with what kind of world emerging, and what is the position of the S&D Group, but also European Social Democrat within that. And without Galina Krasowska, evidently the entire community would have never functioned in the way it did. She has given that a heart, full passion. She has been probably floating you with different WhatsApp messages, emails, and everything else, but it all came from the goodness of her heart, incredible commitment, and I would say inspiring mobilization power. Thank you so much, Elena. Thank you so much, Zoltan, and thank you so much, Galina. Thank you so much to different colleagues, thanks to whom the materials that you have received have been so professional. Thank you to all the lecturers, speakers, and trainers. Each of the model, I know they've been preparing with a hope that they will meet your expectations. So there was also a lot of anxiety and always a great sense of possibility of making a contribution. So I am not able to mention all of them, but this is an incredible community. And with that sense, I'd like to congratulate the class 2025-2026 of the Open Progressive University Progressive Ukraine program. You're officially graduates, you're officially alumni, you bear even more responsibility to stay in touch. I know that also our Secretary General, Laszlo Andor, has been witnessing the ceremony. You've met him at the different occasions, always a pleasure, and it was always incredibly supportive to us and trying to help us find the right path and right balance. Thank you, Kido. Thank you, Iracha. Thank you to all the colleagues behind. And with that, I have an honor, and I'm a little bit sad to say that this graduation ceremony is over and the certificates are on the way to you. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay in touch. We remain in solidarity with you.
Thank you so much.